In Junior Cert Sets 2, we're going to look at subsets and two set questions. So we're going to look at the difference between proper subsets and improper subsets. So if I take the set 1, 2, 3, A is equal to the set 1, 2, 3. A subset, as the word kind of describes, is a subversion of this or a smaller version of this. So there's subsets in A here. We could have the set 1 on its own. We could have the set 2 on its own. We could have the set 3 on its own. We could also have the set 1 and 2, and these may be described in a question as one elements. So there's one element in these sets. We could also have 2 and 3, so there's two elements in these. We could also have 1 and 3. They're all the 2 element and 1 element sets. Now, an improper subset is when the set contains all the elements. So 1, 2, and 3 is still a subset of A, but it's known as an improper subset. So we have 3 1 elements, 3 with 2 elements, and 1 with 3 elements. And hashtag A, or the cardinal number of A, is equal to how many things are in A? 3, just to reinforce what we learned at the end of the last lesson. So subset. So I'm going to write a set with 4 elements, and I want you to pause the video and write out all the subsets with 1, 2, 3, and 4 elements of the following set. So pause the video, write all the subsets with 1 element, 2 elements, 3 elements, and the one with 4 elements. Okay, so subsets with 1 element. I'll just do quick brackets first here. A, B, because you can see the standard of my brackets are pretty poor. You artistic students are better than me. Okay, how many have 2 elements? A and B. So start with A, and we work all the A's starting with A. A. Now B and A is the same set as A and B, so we can't repeat it. So A and C, A and D. So we go on to B now. Start with B. We've already got B and A, but we don't have B and C, and B and D. Now go on to C. We have C and A and C and B, but we don't have C and D. And if we go on to D, you can see, well, we have D and A, we have D and B, and we have D and C. So there's 6 elements, or 6 sets with 2 elements. Okay, try the 3 element ones again. Start with A, B, and C. Go back to my terrible brackets. Start with A again, will give me A, B, and D. If we go on to starting with B, B, C, and D. So if we go on, we have B, C, D, we have the other B's, we have A, B, C, A, B, D. If we go on to C, starting with C, we have C, D, A. And you're all telling me that the name of the subset with 4 elements is an improper subset, and there's only one of them, A, B, C, and D. Now I'm just going to introduce one thing. There's a button on your calculator that says N, little small n, N, C, or. So this is combinations that you're going to see at some point in your mathematical careers. So we're in this section here, we're choosing 1 from 4. And that's the way NCR is written. But on your calculator, if you type in 4, if you're using the Casio, Shift, and you press the divide button, which you'll see NCR over, and then you press 1. We're basically typing in 4, choose 1. The answer will be 4. You can see here that there's 4. If you type in the same, but we change the 1 to a 2, 4, choose 2, the answer is going to be 6. If you type in a 3, the answer is going to be 4. So if we type in 4, the answer is going to be just 1. So it's just a nice little way of adding to your knowledge within topics where there's actually maths that can make this topic simpler for you so that you know you're correct. So no harm to introduce that at this point. So try and find that button on your calculator, and then maybe go back and look at 3, choose 1, 3, choose 2, and 3, choose 3, and see can you get the same answers as we had here. We had a 3, we had a 3, and we had a 1. Okay, so we're going to move on to putting information onto a Venn diagram when we're given the sets. And then we have a list of 8 questions here on the left that we're going to answer. So let's draw my universal set. 2 circles, A and B, and my U for universal. Okay. The key with these questions is just pick one of the sets to start with. We'll just pick A. We'll start with the number 2. Is 2, we're going to circle it, is 2 in set B, and you can see that it is. So we're going to give it, and we're going to give it a little dot as a symbol, because if we don't, and let's just say we put a 2 and a 4 beside each other, it could look like the number 24. So the little dots represent elements in a set. So make sure that you do that when you're doing these questions. On to the number 3. But before we go on to the number 3, I'm going to circle the number 2 in the universal set to show that we've used it. It's the number 3 in set B, and you can see that it's clearly not, so that just goes in A. Then we go on to the number 5. Is the number 5 in set B? It's not, just in A. And it doesn't matter where in the set they go, just spread them out nice and neatly. The number 7, is it in B? No, so just in A. So that's set A done. The number of elements in A is 4, it's not one of the questions. Then we start with B, and we start with the number 0, and we just should have done 3, 5, and 7 up here. Don't forget to do that, because it'll make it easier when at the end we'll see what's left. So 0 is just in B. 4, 6, and 8 also have to be just in B because they're not in A. 4, 6, 8. Circle them. 4, 6, and 8, and I didn't circle the 0. So there's only one number left in the universal set, you can see. It's not in A, it's not in B, so it goes here on the outside. So now let's look at answering these questions. And I'm just going to use the non-squiggly brackets till I get better at practicing squiggly brackets with this pen. So A union B, you don't have to write them in numerical order. So I would suggest start here with the number 3 and work your way around and just write all the numbers that you see. 3, 5, 7, 0, 4, 6, 8, 2, 0, 4, 6, 8, and 2. Now, if you want, you could write equals and then you could write them in numerical order, but you don't get any bonus marks for doing it. So rather than trying to figure out numerical order and making a mistake, write what you see. A intersection B is just 2 in the middle. A complement, remember we were shading earlier, everything outside of A. So what's outside of A? Well, I'm just going to go around the circle A again. Everything outside, nothing on the inside of this circle can be included. And you can see what's left is 1, 0, 4, 6, 8. 1, 0, 4, 6, 8. I'm going to change color so we can do the same with B. So B complement, this circle is B, so none of the answers can be in here. So everything outside of there, 1, 3, 5, and 7. A less B, well, we had that, if you remember the shading of the sets. A less B, everything in A that's not in B, so we're just going to do it in black here, this bit here. A less B, so just 3 things in there. 3, 5, and 7. B less A is the opposing side, this guy here. B less A, 0, 4, 6, 8. A union B complement, well that's everything outside A union B. So you can see it's just that little one on its own. And A complement union B, so that's everything outside of A that crosses over with B. Think about that now. Everything outside of A that crosses over with B. You can see that this is the only one that's outside of A that doesn't cross over with B. So the answer is 0, 4, 6, 8. My apologies, I was doing the intersection. A complement intersection B would be this answer, but A complement union B is everything outside of A union with B. So everything outside of A union with B would include the 1 here. So I'm going to have 1, 0, 4, 6, and 8. I'm still not doing this question right. A complement union B is everything outside of A. I left out the 2 here because that's in B. So it's 1 outside and I've got a 0, 2, 4, 6, and an 8 inside. Be careful to read the question carefully and not to rush. This is the time to pause the video and try this question. Set A and set B. Fill in the Venn diagram. Write down a subset of A that has 3 elements and is a subset of B. Write down a subset of A that has 2 elements and is not a subset of B. And then write 5 choose 4 into your calculator, 5 NCR 4. This is the amount of subsets of B with 4 elements, and I want you to write them down. So we don't need the universal set here. We can see there's no universal. So we could just do it with 2 circles. You can put the universal set on if you so wish. Doesn't make the question incorrect, but there is nothing on the outside of A and B. So we start with 1. Is it in B? No, so it's just in A. Number 2 is in B. 2. 3 is also in B. 3, so it's in the intersection. 4 is not in B. 4. 5 is in B. 5. 6 is not in B. 6. 7 is in B. 7. 8 and 9 are also not in B. 8 and 9, and that just leaves 11 in B on its own. So a subset of A that has 3 elements and is a subset of B, well, that just has to come from the intersection. So we've a combination of what we could use. So we can use 2, 3, and 5. That's the first one we see. 2, 3, and 5. You may have chosen 2, 3, and 7, 3, 5, and 7, or 7, 5, and 2. Any of those 4 are correct. A subset of A that has 2 elements and is not a subset of B. Well, we've 2 to choose. We've 5 guys here in A, or A less B, 5 to choose from, and we only have to pick 2 of them. And if you type into your calculator 5 choose 2 the way we did earlier, you're going to get 10. There's 10 combinations here. So it's just handy maths to know. 10 combinations. Try and find that button on your calculator. It is the next part of this question. So I'm just going to write down the first one I see, 1 and 4. Now we type 5 choose 4 into our calculator. The answer is going to be 5. So there's 5 subsets of B with 4 elements. Let's write them down. I'll write B first. B is equal to 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. So we know there's 5. Let's start with the number 2. 2, 3, 5, and 7. Now I'm going to include 11, 2, 3, 5, and 11. I've dropped the 7. Now I'm going to not include the 5, 2, 3, 7, and 11. I'm going to start with 3. That's all the 2s. We've 2, 3, 5, 7. And we've left out the 3, the 5, the 7, and the 11. No, I haven't left out the 3 yet. So 2, 5, 7, and 11. So the first one I've left out the 11. The second one I've left out the 7. The third one I've left out the 5. And the last one I've left out the 3. And I've started with 2 each time. So what's there another one here? 3, 5, 7, and 11. And that's all 5. So if you got that, brilliant. It's a tough enough question. See combinations and sets at this point, but a good challenging question to test yourself with before moving on to the next video.